The vanishing of Maura Murray, a mystery that defies time. A crash on a lonely road, a young woman's disappearance, and decades of mystery. What happened to Maura Murray that cold February night remains an unsolved enigma. It was a cold February evening in 2004 when the quiet town of Haverhill, New Hampshire, became the stage for a mystery that has refused to fade. What happened to Maura Murray? Was her disappearance the result of an accident spiraling into tragedy, or did a sinister presence stalk her that night? Why had she abruptly left her university, and how could she vanish so completely after her car was discovered, crashed and abandoned on a remote stretch of Route 112? Maura's story is a haunting enigma, a blend of unanswered questions and ominous possibilities. Her life seemed ordinary, yet her disappearance has become one of America's most perplexing cold cases. On the evening of February 9, 2004, a local bus driver, Butch Atwood, noticed a black Saturn sedan lodged in a snowbank. It was an unusual sight on such a lonely road, but nothing appeared alarming at first. As he pulled over, Atwood found a young woman, Maura, standing by the vehicle. A nursing student with a bright future, she seemed calm, almost indifferent to her predicament. When Atwood offered help, she refused, claiming she had already called for roadside assistance. Yet no call was ever made. Minutes later, she vanished, leaving behind a cascade of questions and a sense of unease that still lingers. The car she left behind added to the puzzle. Its airbags had deployed, hinting at a serious impact. Inside, investigators discovered an assortment of items. Maura's belongings carefully packed, a receipt from a liquor store visit earlier that day, and an open box of wine with its contents spilled across the seat. It was as if she had paused mid-journey. But why? And where had she gone? Witnesses later reported spotting a woman matching Maura's description, walking away from the crash site and into the woods bordering the road. The icy trails offered no clear answers, only speculation. Was she fleeing in fear, running from someone or something? Or had she simply wandered, dazed into the bitter cold? Search teams mobilized immediately, but as the hours passed and no trace of Maura emerged, hope began to wane. The questions grew darker when investigators began unraveling her actions in the days leading up to her disappearance. Why had Maura emailed her professors, fabricating a family emergency? Why had she withdrawn nearly every penny from her bank account? And why had she packed her car for what appeared to be a long journey, leaving behind no indication of her destination or intentions? These actions seemed deliberate yet cryptic, leaving investigators to wonder if Maura had been planning a new chapter in her life, or something more desperate. Her carefully packed belongings, combined with her fabricated story, painted the picture of someone trying to leave everything behind. But her sudden disappearance turned what might have been a deliberate choice into a haunting mystery. Theories abound about what happened to Maura Murray that night. Did she become a victim of foul play, encountering someone with sinister intentions on that isolated stretch of road? Or was she running from a danger known only to her? Others suggest a tragic accident, that she wandered into the woods, disoriented and succumbing to the freezing temperatures. But with no evidence, no body, and no definitive answers, these questions remain shrouded in speculation. As the case evolved, search efforts became more extensive, but the icy trails and dense New Hampshire wilderness refused to give up their secrets. Maura's disappearance wasn't just an isolated event. It became a puzzle where every detail seemed both crucial and confounding. Her story, filled with careful actions and unexplained choices, felt like the beginning of a narrative that was abruptly cut off by the darkness of that February night. Even today, the name Maura Murray is synonymous with one of the most enduring mysteries in true crime history. Her fate remains a question that haunts investigators, theorists, and those who continue to search for answers. A mysterious journey. Maura Murray's life, once filled with promise, seemed to unravel in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. A nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, she had excelled academically, But cracks in her seemingly bright future began to show. Just days before she vanished, Maura was caught using a stolen credit card to buy food. While the incident seemed minor, it weighed heavily on her and added to the invisible burden she carried. On February 7, 2004, Maura sent an email to her professors claiming she needed to leave campus for a week due to a family emergency. Her family later confirmed there was no such emergency. Instead, Maura appeared to be making quiet preparations for something else entirely. That same day, surveillance footage captured her at a liquor store, purchasing vodka, Bailey's Irish Cream, Kahlua, and a box of wine. Calm and composed, she didn't seem rushed or distressed, just an ordinary shopper. Yet nothing about the next few days would be ordinary. Maura withdrew $280 from an ATM, nearly emptying her bank account. It was a deliberate move, suggesting she intended to be away for some time. Her car was packed with clothing, toiletries, textbooks, and even her nursing uniform, as though she were preparing for a new start. By the evening of February 9th, she was on the road heading north, away from her campus, away from her life. Her destination, if there was one, remains a mystery. She drove through small towns and winding mountain roads, heading toward New Hampshire, a place she had visited with her family and her boyfriend, Billy Roush. But there were no phone calls, no reservations, no signs of what or who she was running to or from. At 7:25 p.m., her black Saturn veered off Route 112 and struck a snowbank. The airbags deployed, the windshield cracked, but the car was still operable. Yet she didn't drive on. Instead, she stayed. Moments later, Butch Atwood, a local bus driver, stopped to check on her. She seemed composed but strangely detached. When he offered help, she declined, claiming she had called for roadside assistance. But in the isolated area, there was no cell service. Atwood, concerned, left, promising to call the police once he got home. When officers arrived, Maura was gone. There were no footprints in the snow, no sign of a struggle, only her empty car and a mystery that still lingers. It was as though she had vanished into the cold, dark night. Her abandoned car deepened the puzzle. Inside, police found her belongings carefully packed, a receipt from the liquor store, and the open box of wine, with its contents spilled on the seat. The meticulous packing and the spilled wine painted a picture of conflicting intentions. Was she escaping to a new life, or did her plans unravel somewhere on that lonely road? In the days that followed, search teams combed the surrounding woods and trails, but no sign of Maura emerged. Witnesses reported seeing a woman matching her description walking into the woods. But the icy terrain and freezing temperatures offered no clues, only speculation. Was she fleeing in fear, disoriented from the crash, or did she encounter someone who meant her harm? Questions multiplied as investigators pieced together her final days. Why had she fabricated a family emergency? Why had she packed her life into her car and withdrawn nearly all her money? And why had she headed to New Hampshire without telling anyone her intentions? Every decision she made seemed deliberate, yet the reasoning behind them remains shrouded in mystery. Even today, the disappearance of Maura Murray continues to baffle investigators and captivate the public. Her carefully orchestrated actions in the days before her disappearance contrast sharply with her sudden vanishing, creating a chilling enigma. Was Maura running from something or to something? Did she meet with foul play, or did she choose to disappear? The cold night of February 9th, 2004, left behind a trail of questions but no answers. Maura Murray's name has since become synonymous with one of the most haunting cold cases in American history. The investigation begins. When police began their investigation, they quickly realized how little they had to work with. Maura's car, found lodged in a snowbank on Route 112, raised more questions than it answered. The cracked windshield hinted she might have hit her head during the crash. Yet there were no signs of blood or other indications of injury. Her packed belongings, including clothing and toiletries, suggested a planned trip. But the open box of wine spilled across the passenger seat seemed out of place. Did she wander off intoxicated? Or had the scene been staged to mislead investigators? Search teams mobilized immediately, employing dogs, helicopters, and volunteers to comb the area. Scent dogs followed Maura's trail for a short distance down the road before it abruptly ended. This chilling detail led investigators to suspect she may have been picked up by a passing vehicle. But was it someone she knew, or a complete stranger? The absence of footprints in the snow only deepened the mystery. Witnesses from nearby homes provided fragmented pieces of the puzzle. Several reported hearing a loud thud around the time of the crash. Some claimed they saw a young woman walking along the road, her head down against the biting cold. Others mentioned spotting a suspicious car parked near the scene, though its driver was never identified. Each clue painted an increasingly eerie picture, but none provided definitive answers. As the days turned into weeks, Maura's disappearance gained national attention. Her father, Fred Murray, became a central figure in the search for his daughter. Describing Maura as strong, resourceful, and unlikely to panic, Fred tirelessly followed every lead, no matter how remote. His relentless determination brought a human face to the unfolding tragedy, but as the leads grew colder, his frustration and heartbreak mirrored a case that seemed destined to remain unsolved. Speculation swirled in the absence of clear evidence. Did Maura wander into the woods, disoriented and vulnerable to the freezing February night? Or did she fall victim to foul play, taken by someone lurking in the shadows of the isolated road? Each theory offered possibilities but no closure. The more investigators tried to piece together Maura's final moments, the more elusive the truth became. Even now, the image of a young woman disappearing into the cold, dark night haunts those who continue to ask, what happened to Maura Murray? Theories and shadows. As weeks passed, Maura Murray's disappearance evolved into a web of speculation, with theories ranging from tragic accidents to sinister plots. At the center of it all remained the haunting question, what was Maura running from, and why had she disappeared so completely? One prominent theory suggested a tragic accident. Some speculated that Maura, possibly disoriented from a head injury sustained in the crash or intoxication, wandered into the harsh New Hampshire wilderness, only to succumb to the brutal winter. However, extensive searches of the area, involving dogs, helicopters, and volunteers, yielded no sign of her. Scent dogs tracked her trail for about 100 yards before losing it abruptly in the middle of the road. This chilling detail hinted at another possibility. Maura might have been picked up by a passing car. The thought of foul play loomed heavily over the investigation. If Maura accepted a ride, who was behind the wheel? Was it someone offering genuine help, or had she unknowingly stepped into danger? Witnesses reported seeing a dark pickup truck idling near the crash site, but the driver was never identified. Her father, Fred Murray, leaned toward this possibility, believing that Maura, though resourceful, was vulnerable in such an isolated setting. He tirelessly searched for his daughter, refusing to give up hope even as leads grew colder. Investigators, however, were hesitant to fully embrace the theory of abduction. They noted Maura's actions in the days leading up to her disappearance. The email to her professors claiming a false family emergency, her nearly emptied bank account, and her carefully packed car. These pointed to a young woman planning to leave her life behind. But why? What could have driven her to such a drastic decision? As scrutiny turned to her personal life, more questions surfaced. Just weeks before her disappearance, Maura had been caught using a stolen credit card, a situation that weighed heavily on her. Additionally, her relationship with her boyfriend, Billy Rausch, appeared to be strained. Phone records revealed frantic attempts by Billy to reach her in the days before she vanished. While Billy's alibi placed him at Fort Sill in Oklahoma, it didn't stop the speculation. Could tensions with him have triggered Maura's sudden decision to leave? Or was she harboring a secret that no one knew? There were other unsettling details. Maura had withdrawn $280, nearly all her savings, from an ATM before departing. Her liquor store purchases, including vodka, Bailey's Irish Cream, and wine, suggested she might have been preparing for a journey, though her ultimate destination remained a mystery. Was she heading somewhere to start anew, or was she escaping something or someone she feared? Each theory added layers to an already complex mystery, but none brought the closure her family desperately sought. The possibility of Maura leaving voluntarily conflicted with the image of a capable, determined young woman. On the other hand, the prospect of foul play added a dark, terrifying dimension to the case. Even after all these years, Maura Murray's disappearance remains one of the most haunting cold cases in American history. The questions surrounding her fate, whether she was running from something, meeting someone, or simply a victim of circumstances, remain unanswered, leaving her family and the public in a state of perpetual uncertainty. Unsettling clues. As the investigation progressed, unsettling clues emerged, each deepening the mystery of Maura Murray's disappearance. A year after she vanished, a tip led police to an A-frame house just miles from the crash site. The property's occupant, a man with a criminal record, quickly raised suspicions. When cadaver dogs were brought to the scene, they alerted to potential remains in the basement. Investigators hoped they had finally uncovered a breakthrough. However, despite the promising lead, searches yielded nothing conclusive, leaving the case at another dead end. In 2016, hope resurfaced when construction workers near the crash site uncovered a bone fragment. The discovery briefly reignited the search for answers, sparking speculation that it might be linked to Maura. However, forensic tests revealed the fragment was animal, not human. Once again, the trail went cold, and the questions surrounding Maura's fate remained unanswered. One of the most chilling discoveries came from Maura's dorm room at UMass Amherst. Investigators found her belongings meticulously packed into boxes, as though she had been preparing to leave permanently. Among her possessions was a printed email from her boyfriend, Billy Rausch, hinting at tension in their relationship. The correspondence raised new questions. Was Maura planning a deliberate escape, or did these clues point to something more tragic? Each of these unsettling fragments, the A-frame house, the bone fragment, and her packed belongings, seemed to offer pieces of a puzzle, yet none fit together to reveal the truth. Investigators and her family were left grasping at shadows as every flicker of hope faded into disappointment. The lack of definitive evidence in Maura's case has turned it into one of America's most haunting mysteries. The details surrounding her disappearance, hints of a planned departure, unexplained clues, and vanished leads, have perplexed investigators and captivated public attention for nearly 2 decades. With every dead end, the search for closure becomes more elusive, leaving Maura's loved ones and the world to continue asking, what really happened to Maura Murray? The family's despair. Fred Murray became the driving force behind the search for his missing daughter, his anguish visible in every interview and public appeal. He tirelessly combed the woods near the crash site, plastered flyers on every possible surface, and questioned anyone who might hold even the smallest shred of information. "My daughter didn't just disappear," he declared during a press conference. "Someone knows what happened, and I won't stop until I find out." His words reflected the unrelenting determination of a father who refused to let Maura's story fade into silence. Despite his relentless efforts, Fred was often met with obstacles. Law enforcement grew increasingly reserved about sharing information, citing the need to protect the integrity of the investigation. This secrecy left Fred feeling frustrated and sidelined in his quest for answers. He publicly accused authorities of mishandling the case and withholding critical details, believing these gaps in communication were hindering progress. The strained relationship between the Murray family and the authorities added yet another layer of complexity to an already convoluted mystery. The media frenzy surrounding Maura's disappearance turned it into a national sensation, drawing widespread attention to her case. True crime enthusiasts, bloggers, and online sleuths dissected every aspect of Maura's life, from her actions leading up to the crash to the details surrounding her disappearance. While some were genuinely searching for answers, others fueled baseless theories, ranging from abduction to voluntary disappearance, often turning the case into a spectacle. The resulting media attention blurred the lines between legitimate investigation and obsession, leaving Maura's family to contend with misinformation and public scrutiny. For Fred, it became an ongoing battle, not only to find his daughter, but to cut through the noise of speculation and half-truths that often obscured the facts. As weeks turned into months, Fred's unwavering resolve became a testament to a father's unrelenting love in the face of unimaginable tragedy. His tireless advocacy ensured that Maura's name and story remained in the public eye, but the lack of answers continued to weigh heavily on him. To this day, Fred Murray's quest to uncover the truth serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring pain of uncertainty and the boundless strength of parental devotion, the emotional core and lingering questions. As the years went by, the toll of Maura Murray's disappearance on her family became painfully evident. Fred Murray's unwavering determination to find his daughter remained a cornerstone of the search, but the weight of unending questions wore on him. He was often seen near the site of Maura's crash, standing on the edge of the dense New Hampshire woods, gazing into the trees as though willing her to step out of the shadows. "I just want to bring her home," he said, his voice trembling in interviews. His words were a poignant reflection of a father's desperate hope, undimmed by time but heavy with grief. Fred's fight for answers became his life's mission, but the passage of time brought additional challenges. He faced growing frustration with law enforcement, whom he accused of withholding key information and mishandling the initial investigation. Despite these setbacks, Fred never gave up, dedicating himself to keeping Maura's story alive. His tireless efforts resonated deeply with those following the case, but the lack of closure weighed heavily on him, leaving him caught in an agonizing limbo. Maura's siblings, particularly her sister Julie, joined Fred in the search for answers. Julie described Maura as fiercely independent and full of life, but admitted there were aspects of her sister's world she might never fully understand. "There were things Maura kept to herself," she once said, reflecting on the mystery surrounding her disappearance. Despite the uncertainty, Julie and her family remained united, drawing strength from each other as they navigated this unimaginable tragedy. Holidays and birthdays became bittersweet reminders of Maura's absence. Her empty seat at the table symbolized the void her disappearance had left in their lives. Memories of Maura brought smiles, but were inevitably tinged with the aching question of where she might be. For the Murray family, every celebration carried the weight of unresolved grief, a painful contrast to the joyous occasions they once shared. As the case grew colder, the mystery surrounding Maura only deepened. Was she running from something or someone? Did she meet with foul play, falling victim to a predator disguised as a helper? Or was her disappearance the result of a tragic accident, compounded by her silence and isolation? Each unanswered question added to the family's anguish, leaving them yearning for closure. For the Murray family, the years without answers have been a testament to the enduring pain of an unsolved tragedy. Yet their fight for the truth remains unyielding, fueled by love, hope, and the desire to bring Maura home. A renewed search for answers. In 2017, more than a decade after Maura Murray disappeared, renewed attention breathed fresh life into the investigation. The Oxygen Network aired The Disappearance of Maura Murray, a documentary series that delved deep into the mystery. It re-examined evidence, explored new theories, and brought in experts to analyze Maura's actions, reigniting public interest and hope that the case might finally be solved. The series not only recaptured the attention of those familiar with the case, but also introduced Maura's story to a new generation of true crime enthusiasts. The documentary highlighted troubling shortcomings in the initial investigation. A lack of coordination between local police and state investigators had hindered the early search efforts, creating critical gaps that may have cost precious opportunities. This aspect of Maura's case struck a chord with other families of missing persons, drawing attention to systemic flaws in how such cases are often handled. The series prompted important conversations about the need for better protocols, transparency, and the use of modern technology in solving cold cases. In 2021, Maura's family formally petitioned authorities to revisit the evidence using modern forensic tools. Advances in DNA analysis, ground-penetrating radar, and other technologies offered new avenues for uncovering the truth. The Murray family pushed for these advancements to be applied to areas of interest, including the A-frame house and other locations previously linked to the case. Fred Murray, now in his 70s, remains steadfast in his quest for closure. Despite the passing years, his resolve has never wavered. "I just want to bring her home," he said, echoing the sentiment that has driven his tireless efforts since 2004. For Fred and his family, the fight for the truth has become their life's mission, a testament to their love for Maura and their refusal to let her story fade into silence. While the case remains unsolved, the renewed interest in advancing technologies provide a glimmer of hope that answers may one day emerge. Until then, Maura's family continues their relentless pursuit, ensuring her name and story endure. Final reflection, a haunting legacy. Maura Murray's story is more than just a mystery. It's a haunting reminder of how quickly life can change and how those changes can ripple through the lives of others. Her disappearance, now one of America's most enduring cold cases, remains a puzzle filled with unanswered questions and missing pieces. For her family, the search for truth has been both a mission and an unbearable weight. a daily reminder of what they've lost and the uncertainty that continues to cloud their lives. The case also shines a light on the fragility of trust in investigations. From the beginning, missteps and lack of coordination among law enforcement agencies have fueled doubts about whether the case was handled as effectively as it could have been. Meanwhile, public theories about Maura's fate have ranged from tragic accidents to sinister foul play, while others believe she chose to vanish intentionally. These divides at times have overshadowed the real heart of the story. A bright, ambitious young woman who disappeared, leaving her family and loved ones with nothing but heartbreak and questions. For Maura's family, each passing year brings renewed hope and despair. Her father, Fred Murray, remains a steadfast force, tirelessly advocating for advancements in the investigation and refusing to let her story fade into silence. The woods along Route 112, where Maura's car was found, remain still and unyielding, guarding their secrets. Somewhere, the truth of what happened to Maura lies waiting to be uncovered. This case is more than just a mystery. It is a sobering testament to the fragility of life and the enduring pain of uncertainty. Maura's family and countless others continue to ask the same aching question: what really happened that cold February night in 2004? Maura Murray's story is an unsolved mystery that raises new questions at every turn. Was it a tragic accident, or was there something more sinister at play? To uncover the truth and explore more gripping stories like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated.